I think one of the saddest things that I encounter is when I meet up with someone and the cares of life have become larger than God. And the cares of life become an excuse. Yeah. Where I can't live for God because the cares are too big. You know, I'm too busy. My schedule will not allow it. The financial pressure. I can't be generous. I got bills to pay. I can't tithe. Are you kidding me? I got bills to pay. I can't go to church. I need to go do something else. You know? The cares of this world begin to press, and we begin to make excuses. But we need to give those cares to God and be clothed in humility. You will not have breakthrough in your life until you allow God to take first place and you believe Him at His word. Don't let the cares become an excuse anymore. And don't be afraid to try new things and to take risks. And it says, be sober and be vigilant. Okay, you're clothing yourselves with humility. Be sober and be vigilant. Now, if you are not sober and you have to walk a line, it's difficult, right? And to walk straight. Okay, and to get where you're going. And you might want to go there, but you end up over here. But when I'm sober, I can walk that line and I can go set my faith and go from this point to that point. I can have success and I can reach the goals that I have in my life. So one of the things that as Christians, when it says be sober, keep in balance, keep steady, be able to walk that line and get where you want to go. So what happens is cares come and I start to load up. You know, this is God says I can carry this, but I start loading up with cares. Right? Carrying things I'm not supposed to carry. God didn't say for me to carry this, but just to carry this. And so now, what's happening? I'm unbalanced. And it's taking me off track. So when He says be sober, He says stay in balance. Get rid of what is not yours to carry. Give that to God. Stay in balance and let His grace flow through your life. Don't let the pressures and the emotions and the stresses find you and take you off balance. Now be vigilant, be sober and be vigilant. He says that there's an enemy and he wants to knock you out. Okay? Be vigilant, pay attention, stay alert in your life. Don't settle. Don't allow yourself to get off track. Don't allow those things to sidetrack you. You can resist him steadfast in faith. Now, humility is believing God. According to the word, I'm going to believe. According to the word, I'm going to trust and I'm going to obey. Pride is the exact opposite, right? Here's humility, here's pride. Pride says, hey, I know what to do. Hey, this is what I think. Hey, it's not God's will, it's my will. All right? I have a financial dilemma. And to solve my financial dilemma, I'm going to go against the word of God and do it my way because this is the only thing that makes sense to me. God says, don't do that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because that's what makes sense to me. That is pride. That is false humility. That is what the Proverbs says. Well, listen to what Proverbs says. Proverbs talks about pride a lot. It says, pride brings shame, strife, destruction, failure. People wonder why their life is failing. Okay? When you start trusting in your own ability, in your own opinion, in your own way, failure is a result. Pride is hated by the Lord. It's worse, makes you worse than a fool. Pride makes you worse than a fool. It's sin and it lacks results. Pride lacks results. But wisdom, on the other hand, humility, on the other hand, results in wisdom. It brings success. It retains honor. It fears the Lord. It has hope. It will be prospered. It will be preserved. It brings riches, honor, and life, and it gives grace. Yes. What would you rather walk in? I'd rather walk in humility than pride because I like the results of it. There is an author in World Magazine, Andrea Feu, and she's a really great editorialist, a Christian editorialist, and she said that the far side of humility looks like pride. Wow. The far side of humility looks like pride. So people who are really, really humble often will be looked at as if they're proud. Okay? And because they're believing God to the point where people say, who do you think you are? Okay? So I once met a young man who believed God completely. When I met him, he knew that if God said it, God would do it. That nothing was too hard for God. Nothing was impossible. And what are you believing for? Because it's limitless. Anything can happen. God will keep his word. He will do it. He will perform it. I met this young man, and people started looking at him like, who do you think you are? And they said, you have a spirit of pride, brother. You have a spirit of pride. Why do you think you can do that? Who do you think you are? What experience do you have? And he said, but the Bible says it. That's why I believe it. And people literally mocked him for his belief. So he had to pipe down and not be so vocal in front of certain people. Well, I was one of those people who judged him and said, what is this pride? Get rid of this. You're so cocky. You're so arrogant. Well, you know what? He had faith. He had an unbridled faith and a passion that God would do what he said he would do. And I married that man, and he has not changed one bit. But I have. I've come to realize that I want to live where he lives. And I want to live in the confidence and the assurance of who God says he is. Okay, so it's not pride, but the far side of pride, of humility, looks like pride. I'm going to give you an example. Numbers 13. Let's turn there in our Bibles. And here is the story that the Israelites were in Egypt. They were slaves in Egypt. And God has sent Moses in to bring them out of Egypt. And God has promised them. He said, I'm going to give you a promised land. I'm going to bring you into the good land. I'm going to bring you into Canaan, a land of milk and honey. It's going to be fabulous. This is your dream relocation. All right? They called Remax. Moses worked for Remax. Hey, I got to move. Let's go. Hey, go to Canaan. All right? So they're the best school. No, anyway. So they're moving. They're in the desert. They're in this journey, and they've now come to the border of Canaan. They're standing on the border. It's time to go in. And in verse 2 of Numbers 13, God says to Moses, send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Israel. So what is God saying there? I am giving this land to you. Now, you're going to have to go in and fight, but I'm going to be on your side, and you're going to win. I'm giving the victory to you. This is yours. This is your promise. This is yours to take. This is where you're going to live. I said it once. I'm going to do it. This is yours. Yes. All right? This is fantastic. So Moses picks 12 men, one from each tribe, and they go in and they spend 40 days scouting out the land. And now they're coming back, and they're going to bring a good report. And they come trucking some of the fruit. They bring some of the fruit of the land with them, these grapes and different things that they found, honey. And they bring it into the camp. And this is what they say. Let's go to verse 27. They said, we went to the land where you sent us, the land that was promised. It truly flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. God, you're right. This is the promised land. Nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there, who were giants. Goliath was a descendant of Anak. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south. The Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the banks of the Jordan. Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go at once and take possessions, for we are well able to overcome it. Yeah. But the men who'd gone up with him said, we're not able to go up against the people, for they're stronger than we are. They have children of Israel. They gave the children of Israel a bad report and said, the land through which we have gone as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it were men of great stature. you had Caleb and Joseph. They came and they said with the 12, great land. God has a promise for us, and look at how good it is. We can see it. We can taste it. It's amazing. Now, 10 of the guys said, this promise is terrific, but let's be realistic. Okay, I have a family here to support and to protect and to take care of. And what I saw, even though it was everything God promised it to be, in my own estimation, it's going to be too difficult to take. There's a lot of enemies to conquer in that land, and some of them are really, really big. So I think the best course of action is, we spent 40 years here in the desert, and we've gotten kind of used to it. We're really good at tearing down and breaking up and everything, like setting up. And I think that this side of the river is pretty nice. So I think we could just stay here. And we don't have to go over there and conquer. And this is wisdom. This is wisdom. And you can the people are like, oh, thank God for leaders like you. Oh, you're here to protect us. Oh, what humility they have. They know their limitations. Isn't that wonderful that they know we can't do it? Oh, I'm so glad we have leaders like that. Okay, but Joshua and Caleb said, are you crazy? God said, this is our promise. Let's go. There's a problem. No big deal. We can do it. And people are like, you are nuts. What is wrong with you? Who do you think you are? Because in the face of adversity, they said, we can overcome it. They had faith. They had belief that God would do what he said he would do. They were clothed in humility. They were clothed not in their own estimation, but they were clothed in what God said. And when let me tell you what happened. The 10 spies who were full of pride, who were full of their own opinion, and their families did not enter the promised land.
Yeah, right.
Everyone the age 20 and up in their families could not enter. God says, you don't believe me? Read further in 13. Fine, you don't believe me, you don't get to go in. Now Joshua and Caleb, they're going to lead the way, and we're going to take the land and their families, and we're going to conquer it, and we're going to live there, and it's going to be good. And that's what happened. God gives grace. He gives power to the humble. Joshua and Caleb said, it's not about what we think, it's what God said. And he empowered them to go in and take the land.